Greetings, one and all, and welcome to episode number 44 of Thoughts and Hunches, making money in bunches and sucker punches. Your boy Stoney is back for the 44th time. Yes, we're already up to episode number 44. I'd like to welcome my fellow scumbags, hoodlums, lowlifes, hustlers, fienders, degenerates. You're all back to check out season number 2, episode 11. Why? Because I make you money. It's what I do. 2 weeks ago, we had a losing week, only our second of the season. So what did we proceed to do last week? Bounce back with another winning week. Get right back off the schneid and get back to what we do best and deliver W's. NCAA football, 10-8-1. It could have been better, could have been worse, but we'll take the 10-8-1. That puts us 89-72-1 for the season in NCAA football. 55%. Not terrible. Not nearly where we want to be. We want to get that up to 57%, and time's starting to run out, so it's time to pick up the pace. It's just those first 2 weeks were absolute killers, and 2 weeks ago didn't help either. So 55.28, we'll take it. NFL, 8-5. What are you going to do? I've been killing it in NFL this year. Can't explain it. I've never done this well in NFL before. 64-42. That's 60.38%. 60% in the NFL this season. That's right. That's what I've been delivering to you. I was 7-1 last week until the afternoon games. I went 7-1 in the morning. It was just insane. Anyway, 18-13-1 on the week. We'll take it. Absolutely. Every single week we'll take that. That put us to 153-114-1 on the season. That's good for 57.3%. That's where we ended last season. Want to tick that up. 58-59 is the ultimate goal this year. So anyway, 57.3%, can't complain. Before we get to the picks this week, and we have a ton of picks this week, so a lot of rapid fire picks once I get into them all. But before I get into those, two things that I just can't ignore. OBJ and Aaron Rodgers. Arguably two of the people that I hate the most in the NFL have been all over the news. Why? Because Tom Brady was on a bye. Tom Brady opened his mouth once last week talking about the 17-game season, and it made headlines. But when he's on a bye, the media is just searching for stories. Please, Aaron Rodgers. Who cares? Right? Oh, he got fined. Oh my God, he's going to get people sick. He's going to get everybody sick and people are going to die. And we got to shut down the NFL. OBJ is unhappy. His dad is just posting videos of him wide open down the field. And he's not. Baker Mayfield just doesn't want to throw the ball to my son. So let's trade him to the Rams. Okay. Deshaun Jackson just whined his way out of L.A. because of not enough targets, because Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods get all the targets from Matt Stafford. Now you're basically putting OBJ in exactly the same position that Deshaun was in, and he left because he wasn't getting enough targets. I just don't get it. I just don't care. I don't give a shit. Oh my God. And somebody needs to tell Odell Beckham that this isn't 2016 anymore. He's becoming irrelevant. So these stories they have to fabricate to make him relevant. And he's going to go to LA with his hair and his style, fashion sense. Ugh, good God, I hope he turns into I hope he cancers up the Rams like he cancered up Cleveland, like he cancered up the Giants, like he cancered everybody up wherever he's been. LA, you can have him. Anyway, here we go. All right, we got a lot of picks for you. We're going to move quickly through them because we got college basketball started Tuesday, 3 days ago. So this is my time of year. I love it. We got college football, college basketball, NFL. If you want to bet hockey, you want to bet NBA, that's awesome too, because all that's going. There's so much action to get down on right now. And in college basketball, again, it's tough because there are games nightly. So I can basically only give you picks on Friday night for Saturday. Before we get to the picks, real quick, programming note. Next week we'll be back to normal, or we'll be the same on Friday night. But the following week, Thanksgiving week, the video will come out Wednesday night. I'll have a video up and running on Wednesday night, so you can get down on your Thursday NFL Thanksgiving games, college football all weekend, college basketball, everything. But it's going to come on Wednesday instead of Friday, because Thursday and Friday are huge days from a better standpoint. So anyway, let's go. All right, we're already 6 minutes in, and I haven't even given you a pick yet. 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh, you're on. Here we go. Noon Eastern time tomorrow. Big 12 action in the Little Apple. That's right, Manhattan, Kansas. The K-State Wildcats 6.5-point favorites against West Virginia. West Virginia comes in at 4-5, losers of 3 out of 5. K-State seems to have found its footing. They got things together. They're 6-3. They've won 3 in a row. And running back Deuce Vaughn is the K-State's just going to turn the deuce loose. K-State lay the 6.5. Noon Eastern time, Big Ten. Penn State versus Michigan, University Park. This should be, this has the makings of a matchup. 6th ranked Michigan is a 1-point favorite in Beaver Stadium. After they lost to Michigan State 2 weeks ago, Michigan bounced back, beat Indiana, did exactly what they were supposed to do. They're ranked 6th in the polls, and that's where, kind of where they want to be, considering they have a loss. 6-3, Penn State got things together by beating up a shitty Maryland team last week after losing 3 straight. But Penn State, now that Sean Clifford's back and reasonably healthy, I'm going to take Penn State. I'm going to take the point, and there's no way that Jim Harbaugh escapes with 1 loss this season. He's going to have 3, possibly 4. He's going to lose tomorrow. That'll be his 2nd loss. He's going to lose to Ohio State because, well, he always loses to Ohio State, and he might lose the bowl game. So anyway, this is where Michigan has plateaued, and now they start to fall back. Noon Eastern time, SEC football. You know what that means. Saturdays in the South, the 3 F's, people. Family, faith, and football. We're going to start off in the Plains down in Auburn, Alabama, where Mississippi State comes in to take on the 17th ranked Tigers of Auburn. Auburn's 5.5-point chalk. They're 6-3. Last week they lost to A&M, and Mississippi State has won 3 out of 5, and they've gotten to 5-4. Last week they lost Arkansas, but Mike Leach is, he's still Mike Leach. So, it's Hotty Toddy oops, that's a major, major Freudian slip. It's Hail State versus War Eagle. I'm going to take Hail State. Not saying they're going to beat Auburn. Auburn probably wins this game, but Auburn's been playing these sneaky close games lately. Auburn wins. Mississippi State covers. Take the 5.5. Also noon Eastern, Big 12 action down in Waco, Texas. The 8th ranked Oklahoma Sooners, 5.5-point chalk over the 13th ranked Bears of Baylor. This is a good matchup right here. OU is 9-0. Right? But they're ranked 8th. Why are they 8th if they're 9-0? Well, they're not covering numbers. They're not beating anybody. Right? They're 4-5 against the number this year. Baylor, on the other hand, is 7-2. Last week they lost to TCU, which snapped their 3-game win streak. But Baylor is tough, and especially in Waco. I'm going to take the number plus 5.5. OU will probably win by a late field goal, or Mississippi State or Baylor backdoors them. But either way, I'm going to take the 5.5. Noon Eastern time. about 2 hours up north in Louisville, Kentucky. This one, Syracuse versus Louisville. Louisville's a 3-point chalk. Syracuse is 5-4, and they've won 2 in a row after losing 3 in a row. And Dino Babers is still one of my best, or one of my favorite coaches. Louisville's 4-5. They've lost 4 out of 5. They're kind of trending in the wrong direction. They're not playing well, which is why I'm going to take them. Lay the 3. 2 p.m. Pac-12 action in Tucson. Yeah, because a lot of great football games happen in the great town of Tucson, Arizona. Please. Unbelievable. The 24th ranked Utes of Utah go in to take on Arizona. Arizona won last week. They beat Cal, snapping a 20-game losing streak. Yeah, 20. Let me repeat that for you. 20-game losing streak. In this day and age, a Division I college football team lost 20 in a row. Well, they won last week, beating Cal. Wow. The great institution of California, Berkeley. Anyway, Utah goes into Arizona, takes care of them, smashes them, hammers them. 38-6 final score. Utah covers. Lay the lumber. Utah wins easily. 2 p.m. Conference USA. I really like this one. This one's also about an hour and a half up north in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Rice comes in to take on Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky's playing well. Rice isn't. All right. Western Kentucky's 5-4. They've won 4 out of 5. Rice, on the other hand, is 3-6. They've lost 3 out of 4. But out of those 3 out of 4 losses, they've covered 3 out of 4. Rice has a knack for covering. In my lock of the day in college football, Rice plus 18.5 at Western Kentucky. 3:30 p.m. we move on to the ACC. Stony, Hassey, Florida. Miami versus Florida State. Oh my God, it's 1989 all over again. No, it's not. It's not 1989. Jimmy Johnson, Bobby Bowden are both gone. Forget about it. These are 2 bad football teams. Florida State's 3-6. They've lost 2 in a row. Miami's 5-4, but they've won 3 straight. And, here's the thing. I liked Miami at the start of the season. I thought D'Eriq King was going to have a good season. The front 4, their defense is good. Manny Diaz, everything pointed to the Canes to turn it around this year, and then they started out miserably. But now D'Eriq King is injured, right? And they brought in Tyler Van Dyke, who's just been sitting there collecting dust on the sidelines, and he's been red hot. 3 in a row. 5-4 for the Canes. I'm going to take the Canes, lay the 2.5 in Stony Hassey. Florida State is just bad, period. Take the Canes. Moving on, 3:30 p.m., Big Ten football. This one's up in Iowa City. This one should really be a good matchup. There's Minnesota and Iowa are 2 programs that are good enough to warrant discussion and warrant wagers. They're not good enough to play for national championships, not yet, but Kirk Ferentz, PJ Fleck, I like these coaches. They know what they're doing. They consistently churn out winning seasons. Iowa is 7-2. Last week they beat Northwestern after their 2 straight losses. But Minnesota, on the other hand, is 6-3. They started to get things going. They ripped off 4 in a row, and they got their record to 6-2, and they even got a ranking until inexplicably they lost at home to Illinois last week, which is why I like Minnesota here, plus the 4.5. And Iowa Iowa didn't have the offensive horses. So take the Gophers plus 4.5 on the road in Iowa City. 3:30 p.m. we stay in the Big Ten. This time we go up to Columbus. The 4th-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes, 21-point favorites over the 19th-ranked Boilermakers of Purdue. Ohio State's 8-1. They've won 7 in a row since that loss to Oregon a couple months ago. Purdue, on the other hand, 6-3, winners of 3 out of 4. They knocked Michigan State off the path of the unbeatens last week. And I just like the points. I think 21 points is too many. Oregon State has not covered in 2 straight games now. So I'm going to stick with Purdue, and I'm going to take the points. Sorry, speaking of Western Kentucky, who I just, I'm watching college basketball. I love it. Western Kentucky versus Minnesota. There's the two schools. But they're playing basketball right now, and they're playing in Carolina. I love it. I love preseason, pre-conference tournaments. These are awesome. These are great. Anyway, moving on, 3:30 p.m. back to the SEC. Neyland Stadium up in Knoxville. I was this close to going tomorrow, but it's going to be pretty cold in Tennessee tomorrow, so I'd rather stay at home, watch the game here. Number 1 ranked Georgia comes in, 21-point chalk against Tennessee. The Vols are 5-4. Last week they did knock off Kentucky, but they had two losses in the previous 2 weeks. UGA is 9-0. What are you going to do? They're the number 1 team in the country. It seems like it's their year, but you don't want to just start crowning everybody from Georgia the champions, right? The Braves got theirs, but can Georgia run the table? They certainly look like they have the horses to do it, and defensively they absolutely do. Here's the key stat going into this game. Both teams average 38 points a game on offense. Both teams. That's surprise to some because people don't see Tennessee as this high-scoring team. Well, Josh Heupel has changed that narrative this year, and the Vols have been scoring a lot. On the other hand, defensively, Tennessee allows an average of 28 points per game. Georgia allows an average of 6 points per game. One team has scored in double figures against them this year. Not saying Tennessee won't score in double figures, but I'm gonna lay the points. Georgia's just way too damn powerful. It'll be pretty hyped. It'll be pretty wild. It'll be a hell of a scene up there for the tailgates and the pregame and up to about midway through the second quarter. Then people are gonna realize that Georgia's the truth. Take the dogs, lay the 21, and watch Ucla dance. 3:30 p.m. Big 12 action in Lubbock, Texas. This one has the makings also. Iowa State comes in, 10.5-point chalk over Texas Tech. Iowa State 6-3. They've won 4 out of 5. They righted the ship after a very shaky beginning. But Texas Tech has lost 3 out of 4, going in the opposite direction. They're 5-4. Haven't really played that well, but they play well at home. And 10.5 is a big number for Iowa State to be laying on the road. So I'm going to take the home dog and Texas Tech plus 10.5. Excuse me. All right. That was better. Moving on. 3:30 p.m. another Conference USA play down in the Alamo Dome. You know where I'm going with this one. Southern Miss heads to the Alamo Dome to take on the Texas San Antonio Roadrunners. And here's the thing. UTSA is 33.5-point chalk. Take them. Lay the number. Period. Southern Miss is 1-8. Right? Back in week 2, they beat Grambling for their only win of the season. Have been blown out all season long. And now they head to take on a ranked Roadrunner team who comes in with a number 15 attached next to their name. They're 9-0, and they're 8-1 against the number. And if you haven't been taking UTSA with my selections every week, then you've been losing out because they've been delivering. Take UTSA, lay the 33.5. Just keep taking them until they finally lose one. Moving on, 4 p.m., Big Ten action. East Lansing, Michigan State. Tough one last week. Purdue beat them, and Purdue, I don't want to say exposed them, but they held Kenneth Walker in check. Maryland comes calling to East Lansing this week. Michigan State's just too damn powerful. They're 12.5-point chalk. They're 8-1 with the loss to Purdue last week. Maryland's 5-4. They've lost 4 out of 5. They're going in the opposite direction. Tua's little brother at quarterback isn't the answer. Take Michigan State, lay the 12.5. They win by 3 touchdowns. 7 p.m. tomorrow, SEC action. in the Grove down in Oxford. I was just there a couple of weeks ago. Number 11 Texas A&M comes in to take on the 15th ranked Rebels of Ole Miss. A&M's 2.5 point chalk. Ole Miss, both teams are 7-2. Ole Miss has won 4 out of 5. They lost to Auburn 2 weeks ago, but they've won 4 out of 5 and they're playing really well. A&M, on the other hand, 7-2. They've won 4 straight. Since they lost to Cincinnati back in was that September? It might have been early October, but it was a while ago. And that was their loss a while ago. I'm sorry, they've won 4 straight. They didn't lose to Cincinnati, sorry. But they've won 4 straight. A&M, 11th seeded Aggies. I'm going to take Texas A&M, lay the 2.5. They had a big win last week. They looked good in beating Auburn last week, and cost me some money because I had Auburn. But A&M is the play here. Take the 2 or lay the 2.5 and take the Aggies. 7:30 p.m. Charlottesville, Virginia. Number 9th ranked Notre Dame. 5-point favorites against UVA. Virginia is sneaky. Virginia's 6-3. Last week they lost to BYU, but before that they ripped off 4 straight, and they got all the way up to 6-2 somehow. Notre Dame, we all know they're 8-1. Their only loss was to Cincinnati. That was a while ago, but they've won 4 straight since then, and it just the 5 scares me. Because I got it at 4 a couple days ago, but now it's gone up to 5. And that's a big number for the Irish to lay, but I'm going to take them anyway. And I don't like the fact that the public is all over Notre Dame, but I'm going to take them and lay the lumber. 7:30 p.m., more ACC football. Winston-Stony, North Carolina. Wake Forest, the 12th ranked Demon Deacons. 2-point favorites against the 16th ranked Wolfpack of NC State. How many of you had that the start of the season? Wake Forest and NC State both ranked in week 10. Yeah, I didn't think so. Anyway, Wake Forest is at home. They had a tough loss last week in a pinball game, football game that turned into a pinball game with UNC. How about a stop, guys? 58-55. That's not football. There's no defense. How about making a stop? Just once. Try it. 58-55. That disgusts me. Well, that goes to show that Wake can score. That also goes to show that Wake can give up the lumber. This game right here the winner is going to have the inside track all the way to the ACC championship. I like Wake. I don't see Wake losing 2 weeks in a row at home, even though I really like NC State and I like what they're doing down there. Sorry, Wake's the answer here, -2. 7:30 p.m. SEC, Arkansas at LSU, and Stony Rouge, Louisiana. That's right, the Chinese Bandits. We going to take the Chinese Bandits this week? No, of course not. And all you Chinese Bandit fans who send me messages every time they cover, and they've covered 3 times this year, and everybody gets, oh, they covered. You were wrong. But then when they get blown out, crickets. Screw LSU. Arkansas, the 25th ranked Hogs, have won 2 in a row after that 3-game losing streak. They're back. They're going to lay the 2.5. They're going to go down to Stony Rouge, Louisiana, and they're going to kick LSU's ass. Period. Lay the 2.5. 8 p.m. Big 12 action in Stillwater, Oklahoma, or Stonywater, Oklahoma. TCU versus 10th ranked Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is 12.5 point chalk. They were 8-1. They had won 2. They've won 2 in a row after they lost Iowa State a handful of weeks ago. TCU, on the other hand, is 4-5. They won last week by beating Baylor, which was really impressive after they lost 3 in a row. We all know the Gary Patterson, Deion Sanders, the coaching saga. Doesn't matter. 12.5 is too big of a number. Oklahoma State's been winning ugly all year. This game's in Stonywater or Stillwater. 10.5 is too big of a number. Take TCU and the points. 10:30 p.m. Pac-12 action. Eugene, Oregon. The third-ranked Ducks are 14-point chalk over Washington State. Oregon's 8-1. We all know they're going to play in the college football playoff. All they got to do is win out, and they're in, period. They've won 4 in a row after losing to Stanford, but now they take on a Wazoo team that is 5-4, right, after a miserable start, and they've now ripped off 4 out of 5, right? And they hammered Arizona State 2 weeks ago, and they had a bye week. So I just think 14's too many points. Oregon wins, but doesn't cover. Give me the Cougs, plus 14. Finally, the Degenerate Special. We're back to the Degenerate Special. Last week we got the tie. We got a push. A push is... it's so maddening, you know. Sometimes you'd almost rather lose. No, not me. You know, I'll take the push. But San Diego State -7 last week. Game landed on 7. They only scored 17 points. Tonight, we're back in the Mountain West, 10:30 p.m. 22nd ranked San Diego State Aztecs. They're at home in Stone Diego, and they're 3-point favorites over the Wolfpack of Nevada. We're going to take San Diego State again. We're going to ride with them. Lay the 3. Nevada's 7-2. They've won 4 out of 5. San Diego State's 8-1. They've won 4 out of 5. Both teams are playing well. This has got the makings of a very good matchup for those of you East Coasters that want to stay up and start the game at 11:30, and it'll end around 3 a.m. Good luck to you. So there's your NCAA football plays for the week. That's 21. Yes, that's a rec. Well, that's this season. That's the highest we've given out this season. So now we move on to the NFL and NCAA basketball. Rapid fire. Ready? Here we go. NFL. Atlanta plus 9.5. The 4-4 Falcons at Dallas, who's 6-2. I like Atlanta. Take the Hawks plus 9.5. The Hawks. Take the Atlanta Hawks. Take the Falcons plus 9.5. 4-5 Indianapolis, 10.5 point favorites at home against Jacksonville, who comes in at 2-6. Jacksonville had the big game last week. Indianapolis also had the big game last week. I'm going to take Indianapolis, lay the 10.5. Jacksonville shot their load last week. Forgive me for being so graphic, but yes, they shot their load. They ain't going to do that again. Indianapolis is going to hammer them. New Orleans, the Saints come into town, come into Nashville this Sunday to take on the Titans. New Orleans is 5-3, very, very fraudulent 5-3. They're banged up quarterback position. Alvin Kamara is now going to play, it looks like, but they're heading into Tennessee at 7-2. We all know what Tennessee's done over the last 4 weeks. Buffalo, Kansas City, the Rams, Indianapolis, all 4 teams made the playoffs last week. Tennessee was underdogs in all 4 of those games and won all 4. Now we'll see if they can win as favorites. I'm going to take Tennessee minus 2.5. New England versus Cleveland, 2 5-4 teams. This one's up in Foxborough. Give me New England at home minus the 4. New England always has a knack of covering at home. 5-3 Buffalo heads to 2-6 New York at Snoopy Stadium. MetLife over in New Jersey. Did I say they're playing in New York? No, they don't play in New York. They play in New Jersey at Snoopy Stadium. Take Buffalo, lay the 12. Jets get hammered. Buffalo makes up for that indiscretion last week. Detroit 0-8. Heads to Pittsburgh, who's 5-3 in the giant ketchup bottle at Heinz Field. I like Detroit plus 7.5. Why? Because Pittsburgh just can't cover. Pittsburgh does not cover numbers when they're favorites. When they're dogs, they do. But yeah, they've won 4 in a row, and oh my God, they were 1-3, and everybody was knocked. They're 5-3. They're legit. We know that. They're going to win. They're going to win easily, but they're not going to cover the 7.5. Take the Lions. 6-2 Tampa Bay is 9.5 point chalk heading up to our nation's capital to take on the Washington Washington team, the football team, the Washington football team, who's 2-6 and a mess. Both teams coming off byes. You give Brady a bye. You give Tampa Bay and Bruce Arians a bye. Forget about it. Take Tampa Bay. Lay the 9.5. That's blowout city. Carolina, 4-5. Carolina hasn't beaten anybody. They haven't beaten anybody. All their wins were to the dregs of the NFL. they head into Arizona now to take on the NFL's best team, who's 8-1, who just came off a thrashing on the road of a divisional opponent. Now they come back home. What do you think they're going to do to Carolina? Well, they're 10-point chalk. We're going to take Carolina and the points. Too big of a number for some reason. And for some reason, we like Carolina and Cam Newton to get the 10 if he plays this Sunday. Anyway, moving on. Minnesota heads to LA to take on the Chargers. That's still hard for me to say. They'll always be San Diego. Like I said a couple weeks ago before the bye, the Chargers have plateaued. They're starting to fall on their face. They're 5-3 now. They were 5-1. Minnesota's 3-5, going in the wrong direction. Chargers are 3.5-point favorites. No, give me Minnesota outright. Philadelphia plus 2.5 at 3-6 heads into Denver to take on the 5-4 Broncos, who somehow, some way blasted Dallas last week. That's not going to happen again. Take Philly plus 2.5 on the road outright winner. 7-2 Green Bay against Seattle. Seattle's 3-5. Green Bay's 3.5-point favorites at home. Did I say they go to Seattle? No, Green Bay's at home. They're at Lambeau. Oh my God, it's Aaron Rodgers and it's Russell Wilson. It's a rematch of the Super. Please. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers reluctantly, begrudgingly. I just hate betting against Russell Wilson, especially after he's been gone for a month and now he's back and he's going to start firing. Anyway, take Green Bay, lay the 3.5. Sunday night, Kansas City minus 2.5 heads into Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Las Vegas is 5-3. Kansas City's 5-4. Somehow the Raiders have kept things afloat, even though they lost to the Giants last week. Somehow they've kept things afloat with Arnett, with Henry Ruggs, with John Gruden, just with all the problems, and somehow they just keep keeping things afloat. Kansas City's not very good, we know that, but I'm going to take them here in this spot, lay the 2.5. Monday night, Rams versus Niners. Niners are 3-5, they're at home. The Rams come in at 7-2 as 4-point chalk after their loss to the Titans last week. They're angry, they're bitter, they're pissed off. Everyone's going to take the Rams and probably lose, because this will probably be the game the 49ers cover, because they hear me and everybody else tell them that they can't win at home. For some reason, they cannot win at home. They have not won at home this year and since early in last season. So take the Rams, lay the 4. That's it. That's your NFL plays for the week. All right. That's 13. That's every NFL game on the board. All right. Now we move on to Ncaa basketball. Here we go. Now keep in mind, some of these games are being played in neutral sites, like the Western Kentucky-Minnesota game, which I just looked up, and there's 2 seconds left. It's a 2-point ball game. This is incredible. This really has been a good game. But anyway, a lot of the games are played in neutral sites right now, so I'm just going to go by which team is listed as the home team. It's not necessarily playing in their home gym. All right, I'm going to start at 1 p.m. Take Air Force plus 14.5 against Tulsa. Tulsa's 1-0. Air Force is 0-1. Tulsa can't beat anybody by 14.5, especially Air Force, who's really not that bad. They're small. They're going to get out rebounded by bigger, stronger Tulsa, but they're going to run the basketball and give me the 14.5. 2 p.m. Georgetown versus Dartmouth. Georgetown's first game of the season. Dartmouth's 0-1. Take Georgetown, lay the 16.5. 2 p.m. Vermont versus Maryland. Maryland's 2-0. Vermont's 1-0. I like the Catamounts here. I'm going to take Vermont plus the 12. Made some money last night betting against Maryland. Had George Washington plus 17. They damn near won that game. Not saying Vermont's going to win. Maryland wins, but take the 12 in Vermont and the Catamounts. 2 p.m. Miami versus Central Florida. Both teams 1-0. I like Jim Larinaga. Always have. Miami minus 2.5. That's your play. Take the Canes. Raising Cane. 7 p.m. Temple versus USC. I like Temple in this spot. USC's a 6.5-point chalk. The Temple might win outright, but either way, I'm going to take the 6.5 as insurance. 8 p.m. UNLV versus Cal. UNLV's 1-0. Cal's 0-1. Cal's not going to be a very good team this year. UNLV is. I'm going to take the Running Rebels at 6.5, minus 6.5. 9 p.m. Boise versus UC Irvine. Irvine's 0-1. Boise's 1-0. Make that 2-0. Boise wins outright. They're 1.5-point dogs, but take the Broncos and Boise State. 9:30 p.m. This is a homer pick. 1-0 Sacramento State Hornets, my alma mater. 18.5-point chalk against Utah. Larry Kristoviak, always been a big fan of Christo. Utah is 18.5-point favorites for good reason. That's a good basketball team. But Sac State comes in under the number, gets the cover, plus 18.5. Finally, at 10:30 p.m. tomorrow night, biggest game of the week. Tonight, in about an hour and a half, a couple hours, we've got UCLA versus Villanova, my Bruins, number 2 versus number 4. Big time matchup. Tomorrow, number 1 Gonzaga versus number 5 Texas. This one's up in Spokane. The Zags will be rowdy. They'll be wild. And I think the odds makers hit the number right on the head. It's 8.5. Gonzaga deserves to be favored by 8.5. Can they win by 9? Sure. I just don't think they will. I think they win, but I'm going to take Texas. Some people will say it's going to take them a while to kind of learn in Butch Beard's system, but Butch Beard knows what he's doing. He's going to get these freshmen and these transfers to start playing. This is a very, very dangerous Texas team. They may not win tomorrow in Spokane, but they're going to give the Zags all they can handle. Take Texas plus 8.5. 21 NCAA football plays, 13 NFL plays, 10 NCAA basketball plays. That's 44 total. Oh my God, this is just too much. 44 plays. I dare you to leave the house this weekend. Stay at home. Get down. Call your man. And rack up more than 25 W's. That's what we're shooting for. 25 W's or bust. If you want to win big, you got to bet big. Remember that. To me, the action is the juice. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored. And finally, good luck to you.